I never wanted to release that. I wanted to keep that to myself. But my mum physically pushed me towards the Alakazam stand to talk to Pete and Harry. I managed to make a deal with the convention, and my mum did loads of bargaining for me because I'm utterly useless. I will just accept the first offer. But no, and I sold it all over to Alakazam, and it was one of the best days ever that day. It was fantastic.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Desert Island Tricks. Would you believe it, we're coming to the end of our first year. That is incredible. We've done an entire year of these. I've had the opportunity to sit down with lots of incredible guests, but today's guest is the youngest guest we've ever had. I think he's 15 now. He can either nod or shake his head. He had to think about that, which is concerning for his future. If he has to think about his age now, goodness knows what it's going to be like when he's in his... I'm not going to give a number there in case I insult someone. So we're going to swiftly move on there. He actually received an award a couple of weeks ago for the best selling trick through Alakazam. Now think about that for a second. He was 14, I think, when he came up... he was 14 when he produced it. He was much younger when he came up with it. But let that sink in for a second. One of the biggest selling tricks through Alakazam was from someone who was 14. Absolutely incredible. And I've seen a lot of his creations going forward. He's very, very smart. He's very clever. I think the future of Magic and Magic creation is in very, very safe hands. And it's going to be really interesting to see what the younger generation would put in their ultimate list. So I think it's going to be a really interesting one. I know he's already said that he's had to chop and change it. So I'm going to stop babbling and bring on Mr. Henry Ferris. Hello, Henry.
Hello, Jamie. How are you?
I'm good, but more importantly, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
You sounded unsure of that. I'm good.
Well, I haven't had a coffee this morning, so I'm a bit dazed.
I would like to tell everyone that it's currently 1:20 in the afternoon that we're recording this.
I woke up at 11, so yeah.
So how did you find putting the list together?
Very, very stressful. Because I'm a very indecisive person, which doesn't help very well. And I had to go through. Do I put my tricks in there or do I not? I did. And then I've got some stuff that's mainly for them, like the audience, and then I've just got one for me. Like it's one that I love. I love it. It's great.
Well, no more spoilers, but I do know that you're a massive collector of Magic. Whenever I see things that you've put up, or I see your mum, she's bought another ton load of stuff. I don't know how many houses you have at your age full of Magic stuff at this point, but you are a massive collector of Magic. You just seem to really love and enjoy it.
Well, I'm that sort of person that loves the method. So I'm not really fussed about the effect. Well, I am, but in entirety, I prefer the method. So if there's something that it's so cool. So one of the effects, which we'll talk about later, is for this exact reason. If the method's all mechanical, really fiddly but awesome, I will just buy it immediately because I love it. I'm a very method oriented person. It's nice.
And let's just very quickly, very briefly talk about, for any other young performers who are listening to this may be your first Desert Island Tricks that you're listening to, and you've come here to listen to Henry's list. Can you just very briefly talk to them about the Young Magicians Club? Because I know you're a member of the Young Magicians Club.
So the Young Magicians Club it's once a month in London. At the Magic Circle headquarters. I'm a mentor there. So it's a group of us which are the mentors, and we're there to help everyone, to help the younger people sort of get even further into Magic. So each month we have multiple lectures. I know, Jamie, you've lectured there before. Jamie's a fantastic magician, if you didn't know. But yeah, it's amazing. It's a place where young people can come together to show magic, jam, and learn magic. It's on point. It's fantastic.
If you haven't heard of one of these before, the idea is that we're about to maroon Henry on his very own desert island. When he's there, he's allowed to take 8 tricks, or 1 book, and 1 non-magic item that he uses for magic. Any particulars, like who's there, how many people are there, is there a boat there, are the crabs there, whatever. It's all in Henry's own imagination. So with that being said, let's get into it. So Henry, what did you put in your first position?
Evaporate. So I went for just a list of effects, but I feel like I'm going to be incredibly biased here. I think it's fantastic. Obviously, I created it, so I felt like I had to put it in the list because I love it. It's like a baby, you know. Like it's like a brainchild thing that you work on for so many years and then it's there and people like it and I'm happy. So I thought I can't make a list about my top 8 effects without putting that in there because it's sort of like I've got like a connection with it because it was like my first ever like big thing. So I actually keep the prototype of it in my wallet everywhere I go because I've got it in a little like nice collector's sleeve. And I've got the very first prototype that I ever made of it. I actually carry it around with me. It's great. So Evaporate, it's my take on the Vanishing deck. So it gives you the ability to you switch deck into the gimmick, obviously, and you're able to make a deck of cards like slow motion vanish, slow motion appear, instant vanish, instant appearance. You can use it as a deck switching device. There's genuinely the possibilities are great. One of my favorite little things to do that I don't think I talked about on the tutorial is if you have it where you're able to make the gimmick change into like a gilded deck, which I think it's so cool. I just think the possibilities for stuff like a vanishing deck are just it's endless. So I thought I wanted to put my contribution there. So that's when I came up with Evaporate. The name came from Craig Petty because I had a mental block, and we were stood outside the Magic Circle. I just had a need to think of a name, and he just said Evaporate, and I went, "Oh, okay, cool beans, we'll go with that." But originally it was Gone, but I thought, no, I can't use that because Alakazam has a really great effect called Gone. So I then changed it to being Evaporate, which yeah, I love it. It's great. I think compared to other vanishing decks, this is able to end looking clean. So it's all self-contained, instant reset. It's all automatically reset and can hide in a deck of cards, while also aiding you in other routines, which I won't talk about because that may sort of give away part of the method. But it can also act as a method of controlling cards, forcing cards. But the ability to make a deck slow motion vanish, I think, just goes above all. It's fantastic.
I think that's what's so good about it is that so many people have created slow motion deck vanishes over the years, and normally they are maybe not as visual as this because with this it's a slow motion. Normally it's an incremental disappearance, right? So half of the deck disappears and then 3/4 of the deck disappears and now the whole deck is gone. Whereas this really does look like CGI. It is a 1 by 1 disappearance of the deck. It really does. I mean, Craig has named it perfectly. It evaporates. It really does slowly vanish.
Yeah, I think that's what I wanted. So all of the things that I create, I force myself to add a visual element in. Like with it when it's gimmicks, I need to have that visual element in. That's mainly for me as a creator. You get some really cool changes out there, but I quite like to go for more sort of mechanical method things. So I went for a visual vanish and a visual appearance with a method that in this sort of genre it hasn't ever been seen before. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, it's a great choice. I'm glad that you put it in there because it is a superb trick. And if people haven't seen it, do go check it out. It's amazing. And when you see the gimmick is such a fun little toy to play with. It's great. But that does lead us nicely into number 2, Henry. So what did you put in your second position?
So number 2, I've gone for, I think I'll go for one of the effects that I perform the most. So as much as I love card magic, as that's my main thing. But when I go out performing, I always carry a sack of billets, and I have John Morton. He lectured and he taught me a billet peak, which was I can't remember the name of it, but I've got it down as John Morton's billet peak, and it's great. It's super simple, but it works and it works fantastically. Because there's so many like stupidly complicated options there for a billet peak, and I just think no, go simple or go home. It's pointless. It's running without being chased, essentially.
So, regular listeners know what I'm about to do. So, I'm about to be devil's advocate because we love doing that on this podcast. So, we've got this billet peak. What would be the one routine that you would perform using this peak?
So I go for mentalism, obviously. So what I do is just a name divination. So I think it's great. It's a form of mind reading. What I essentially say is we're going to leave it into the pack so that no one else can see it. I can't touch it, and that's when you're able to get a peek. So as a name divination, I think it's on point. And this billet peak has reasons for everything that look as natural as possible. So the peak is directly in front of them. But yeah, as a name divination, I think is one of the most powerful things you can perform. The ability to read someone's mind, obviously, because it's as great as making a deck of cards vanish. It's so fun. That's magic. And in mentalism, I think the ability to read people's minds and find out someone close to them's name without them ever telling you is it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think a name divination is one of the best things that you could do. And just looking at your first two, so we've gone from a ultra visual CGI deck vanish into a billet peak name divination. So already a really interesting mix. So what would be in your third position then, Henry?
Third position. Now I'm going to go to what I talked about earlier, which was method wise. It's just something that I absolutely love. It goes above all else for me. So this is an effect for me, not for the spectator whatsoever. And it's The Great Escape by Tenyo. The thing about Tenyo stuff is the methodology is designed for magicians essentially. It's so visual. I love it.
For the most part, Tenyo tricks are always so clever, and it does seem to be one of those things that a lot of us discover in our younger years, but we still collect in our later years because they're just so interesting. And there's been a trend at the moment of people using them in stage shows. So finding some sort of presentation to build around this trick as a piece in a stage show. So have you ever performed it at an event or as part of a stage show? Have you ever thought about doing that at the Young Magicians Club?
I genuinely have never performed a Tenyo effect in person. As you know, that's probably a lie. Tenyo release, I can't remember which number it was. It was T something, obviously. It was the Cash. I think it was released last year, which is a funky little black envelope that can make money appear. I think I performed that once or twice. But I feel like that's the only piece of tenure that I've ever performed. I suppose you could sort of theme it about like a childhood magic trick.
We've had a few people select tricks that they would take to the island just because they enjoy the method and playing with it. And that seems to be what you've done here. So you've gone for one that would entertain you as opposed to just entertaining an audience.
If I was stuck on an island, as great as it would be, I want things to entertain me because I get bored very easily. Like, if it's not there to like make me happy, what's the point of it? You know, as great as I've made a deck vanish. I created that. I know everything about it. I know it like the back of my hand. But the fact that there's something that I'm bringing for me and only for me, it's great. I think it's brilliant. It's so clever.
Yeah, it's a great choice, and it does lead us nicely into number 4. So, what did you put in your fourth position?
Okay, and number 4, I think I've gone for Extractor 2. Because why not? I think it's a fantastic tool in card magic. You're able to place a deck of card inside a deck of cards. You can place it in your pocket. You can get a peek of it. You can steal that card immediately. I think it's one of my favorite utility devices just ever. It's great.
So, once again, devil's advocate. So we've had the E2 a few times. What would be the routine? So how you mentioned it's a utility device. How would you use it personally?
So what I do is I get them to place a card, touch a card, sign the card, place it back in the deck. Deck goes away. And then I say, actually, you know what? I'll bring out a second deck of cards. And it's completely different color, completely different style of deck. And I've created a loading system into the card box that allows it to be placed in the center of the deck while being still sealed up. The possibilities of being able to steal a card out of a deck invisibly is amazing.
Yeah, no, that's great. A great choice. The E2 is phenomenal, and I love the whole having it inside, in position in the sealed deck as well. It's such a great presentation. I think it's the best use for that, especially if you're going to put together a competition piece. I think that the E2 would be a great callback to the
Yeah,
end of the show.
the fact you can just leave the deck inside your pocket and immediately you're able to seal it and place it anywhere you want. So you can Mercury card fold it, place it somewhere. It's like hide it in a box, hide it anywhere. As like a closer, it's fantastic.
When I perform at gigs, I look at effects that tick these 3 boxes. Is it super strong and powerful? Yes. Will it last with your spectators for a lifetime? Absolutely. And does it leave them with a souvenir that perfectly captures the moment of magic? If that all sounds exactly what you're after, look no further than the liquid forks. These forks have been custom designed to be able to bend right in front of your spectators' eyes. It's so easy to perform, it's so visual, and trust me, they will honestly keep this impossible object because they've seen it morph in front of their eyes. It literally does the impossible. Not only that, Liquid Forks comes with 50 of these forks in each pack, and it comes with the full Liquid Forks routine taught by the world famous David Penn. Not only that, we have a subscription service. If you guys love these forks and you get through them at your gigs, we now offer a monthly subscription where you get sent a box through every single month at a 10% reduced fee. Like I said, you guys are going to be loving these. You're going to be performing them every chance you can. Trust me, the reactions are second to none. So guys, head over to alakazam.co.uk, pick up a set of liquid forks. You will not regret it. Easy to do. Leaves them with a killer souvenir. And to be honest with you, it's not cards, it's not coins, it's not mentalism. It's something beyond belief. Check it out now, guys, the liquid forks.
Great, and that brings us to number 5. So what did you put in your 5th position, Henry?
I think I'm going to go for Equalizer by Jar Miranda. Essentially, you're able to make sounds appear for certain things when there's no sounds being played, if that makes any sense. I think that's another one mainly for me.
So how do you use it?
One of my favourite presentations, I've got to go with that music box one. So it's the one that they mainly feature, which you get them to pick any song. You then show a music box which matches the song they chose. The music box then vanishes as the song cuts out. You can then show the box completely open, fold it away. There's no music box whatsoever. I think it's just great. It's like that sound illusion. It's fantastic. When I thought about Equalizer for sound illusions, I also thought of like an honourable mention would be Ping by Tobias Dostal, which you're able to make the sound of a coin being flicked into the air and the coin vanishes midair. I think the ability to sort of make sound move and travel is so many possibilities. It gets some killer reactions. It just makes the audience question reality, like they question, oh, what have I just heard then? Which I think they dig themselves in a rabbit hole. The ability to make the audience question themselves instead of questioning you, like burning your hands or anything, it sort of makes that magic like have layers that build up, which I think that combination together, it's unreal. It's great.
Yeah, it's a really interesting choice as well. Looking back at what you've got so far, we've got Evaporate, we've got your name divination, John's Billet Peak, we've got The Great Escape by Tenyo, we've got E2, and now we've got a sound illusion. So we've gone from like really visual tricks like Evaporate and the sort of Great Escape. John Morton's Billet Peak, you've got a bit of mentalism in there. You've got the Extractor, which is just an impossible trick. And now we've got a sound illusion. So it looks like sort of what I'd predicted from seeing your performances at the Young Magicians Club. You're quite diverse with how you put things together.
So back onto the topic of the Young Magicians Club, I use that performing bit to perform whatever I want. Like, I will stick to cards and billets when I'm out performing, but people, they're not going to judge you. You can perform whatever you want. If it goes wrong, you can perform it again later if you want to. I think it's really helpful, and you're able to sort of see where you actually position yourself in Magic. So say I'm a stage guy, but for 1 week I try out, for 1 month I try out close up. And if close up goes really well, close up suits you. It's the ability to just perform. I think that's one of the most important things when you're starting out in Magic. Performing, it boosts, it's more helpful than anything essentially. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Let's continue your list. What did you put in your sixth position?
In my sixth position, I've gone for sticks. If you don't know, it's an amazing effect. You get these, it's a modern hot rod essentially, where you're able to make colours change into a block, well, a single colour. They can go invisible, they can shrink, you can do transpositions. Eric's a good mate of mine, so we're able to bounce off ideas off each other. He'll just send me random videos of him performing, where he just comes up with really new ideas, and it's great to see other people having that same creative process. And then I like how he's the hot rod guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a fantastic magician, and he's known for his hot rod work because his hot rod work is amazing. I think he's probably the best that you'll see ever. He's fantastic. So his sort of take on the modern hot rod is great. Full on reasoning for everything. He teaches some amazing moves. You can go for some like 10, 15 minute long routines with it. It works for more older audiences and really young audiences at the same time. I think the possibilities of it are great. So I thought I had to put sticks in there at some point. So I thought I'll put it there.
Yeah, it's a great choice. And what's quite nice is for the younger generation, for you guys coming up, there's not many hot roddy routines around nowadays. So it's nice that the younger generation are having the opportunity to discover that as a routine. And it's lovely to see that it's still resonating with a younger audience as well.
Yeah, because I think, in all honesty, the traditional hot rod looks terrible. But then how he's managed to make it like a colour palette, so it looks like, oh, I've just been to B&M, I've grabbed a colour palette stick. I'm still struggling to decide which colour do you think looks best? Blue? Poof! Now it's all blue. It's great because it's interactive, it's fun, and it's visual as well.
And I remember when Eric came over to film Sticks, he brought with him this absolutely incredible folder full of card gimmicks. And I guarantee that you and him together would spend hours looking over those gimmicks and coming up with ideas.
Yeah, well, I've seen the folder. It's amazing. It's great. Yeah, that guy is an absolute genius. It's so fun. I can't wait for him to release some of the effects he's got. It's great.
Well, that was a great choice, and it does lead us to the tail end of your 8. So what did you put in your 7th position?
7th position, I went for Imagine by the legends that are Harry and Peter Nardi. So Imagine is you show a deck of rainbow cards. So my presentation is I just went to Vegas. And don't tell anyone, but I stole one card from each casino, from each dealer's table. And I managed to put together this great deck. It's really colourful. It's fantastic. In fact, you know what? You get the spectator to say stop whenever they want. They can memorise a card. You can immediately peek that. Well, you immediately know what the card is. Just immediately. So they say stop. You look at it. Well, they look at it, and you know the card. It's brilliant. And then you can do standard rainbow deck routines, and to end it, you've then got a blank deck. So it immediately changes into a blank deck in front of their eyes, which is fantastic. You can go for that visual element of a change. So if you wanted to, you could go for a paintbrush change, which would allow it to like go blank really visually under their eyes, which I think is great. But I think there's so many possibilities for beginner and advanced magicians, which allow it to be it's just like a perfect trick. It's an amazing take on the mental photography deck, combined with mind reading, visual changes. I feel like that's something that I like had to put on there because you can do so much of it. And then at the end, ending with all the cards blank is a fantastic addition.
And how do you perform it then? Do you start with a blank deck and then they print, or do you start with a printed deck and then they turn blank?
So from printed to blank is my preferred method, but I know people that will go from blank to printed. But I feel like the ability to end looking as cleaner is better at the end than starting cleaner. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I love it.
So we've gone back to visual card magic now with your list. So because obviously we had Evaporate at the very beginning, and then we had Extractor, and now we're at Imagine. Do you use Evaporate with Imagine as a way to get out of it?
I've never thought of that. No. Oh no, don't, because I will have to make a blank Evaporate now.
There we go. That's going to be Henry's next thing. It's going to be a blank Evaporate to mix in with Imagine. Yeah, that's a great choice. It's such a superb trick. It's one that's really, really easy to do as well. So it's within the realm of a beginner magician to intermediate if you want to think about the performance side of it. But yeah, it's superb. And it's another interesting one out of all of your lists so far. Each choice is really different and diverse, which I really, really like. So what did you put in your last position?
So this goes back into methods, but also into performance style. I went for the Trojan deck by Joshua J, because I think it features some amazing methods, which I won't go into. A whole 10-minute routine that features methods that I really like. All combined, it's fantastic. With one of the decks, you can do mem deck routines. That's great. I haven't yet memorized a deck, but you can do mem deck routines. But I feel like the ability to get everything all sort of connected and with that feelings of connection, like if you have like a married couple or something, the ability to show the coincidences that have led, I think it is a great thing to do at like weddings. It's amazingly on parlor or stage. So the routine, it's essentially all based around coincidences. So you both shuffle up the deck. You both pull out one card and you put it into your pockets. You then shuffle up the deck even more. All of the cards then have matched. So from the shuffled up decks, every card matches. And then you talk about coincidences and you then reach into your pocket and both of the cards that you've selected match. So the ability to have multiple, I think it's three coincidences all happening one after another is great. Obviously, you say coincidences, it's magic. And it's just a lovely sort of presentation, all about life, how one choice leads to another. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, it's a great choice. And it's nice that you've got like a presentation piece there. Well, that's a great list. We've got a nice diverse array of effects there. We've got obviously Evaporate, which is super visual slow-mo. We've got John Morton's Billet Pig. We have The Great Escape by Tenyo. We've got E2. We've got Equalizer, which is a sound-based one. We've got Sticks, which is a hot rolled routine. We've got Imagine, which is a rainbow deck routine. And then we've got Trojan deck, which is more of a performance piece. So that's a really lovely all-round list that you've got there.
Yeah, I think as great as it is, if I was stuck on a desert island, I'm going to need some variation. Like, as bad as it sounds, if you just leave me there with loads of card tricks, it's going to get very boring. So I need that levels of variation to keep me occupied.
Well, it's a great list, and it does bring us on to your book position. Now, obviously, we've given you 8 selections, but now you're only allowed 1 book and 1 non-magic item. So what did you put in your book position?
Now, this I really struggled with. I had to go for Expert at the Card Table, because as small a book as it is, it's just more technique-based, and it's fantastic. It's a very tough read to get every move down. But if I was stuck on a desert island, I had nothing better to do. I will just read and read and read and read. I found this really tricky because there's so many amazing books out there. So as an honourable mention, this links to Trojan deck. I went for Mnemonica because I'm too lazy right now to bother learning it. But if I was stuck on a desert island with just me and my senses, I would learn Mnemonica.
Yeah, we've had a few people say that if they had the time to put into it, that's what they would do. If they just had a place where they could switch off and just focus on it, that's the time that they would learn a memorized deck.
Speaking of memorized decks, I just learned movie notes. That's like my first step on memorizing things, because I think I have a terrible memory, which is why I sort of thought, oh yeah, let's give this a try. And I memorized it in about half an hour. So I was happy with that. But memorizing 52 cards is going to be bleeding stressful.
But yeah, Expert at the Card Table is a really, really good choice. Is that the book that you would recommend? So if we have young listeners listening, is that the book that you'd recommend them to take up first?
Not at all. No, absolutely not. I recommend, I think it's called Magic. Is it Mark Wilson's course on magic? Yes, that definitely. End of that's the best book for starting out with magic because it teaches you everything you need to know, some greatly fun tricks. But I went into a magic shop and I was asking for some books to read, and that was just they handed me that to read, and I've read it. Sat there on my bookshelf. Complete course in magic. Yeah, it's great. Definitely, if you're a beginner magician, buy that book.
Great. So let's find out about your non-magic item. Now, I know that you love your arts and crafts. So I feel like we might have to just be nice and give you an extra item, which would be like a little care package with a little scalpel, maybe a cutting mat, some sellotape, maybe some elastic in there as well, just to keep you, maybe a hole punch as well, just to
But
keep you
can I have some
satisfied.
magnets? Can I
Oh,
have
yeah,
some
all right. We'll give
magnets?
you some magnets as well. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
But what did you put in your non-magic item position?
So this links. I've got a show coming up in like a week or two, with Tom Stone, which should be fantastic. And I was asked to, not for this show, but I was asked to create a really cool items impossible location. So I would bring like a Sanex tube of deodorant because I've managed to create an incredible ring or coin inside a tube of deodorant, which can be shown on all sides. I think it's fantastic. So I was stuck for this item. I'd either go for my deodorant or a tube of Pringles because I have a really cool card into Pringles tube, which has got a fantastic like method behind it, which I love, which involves a lot of mechanics.
I've seen it. It's very clever.
Yeah, so I would go for that. Them two. Then obviously I feel like there's like a runner up. I thought a deck of cards because you can't go without a normal deck of cards. If I was actually no, scratch that. I would drop them all over the sea. Oh no, that's that ruined, isn't it? And yeah, I'm very clumsy, so I think I can't go for a deck of cards. We'll scratch a deck of cards. Pringles tube or deodorant. I feel like it's fun. It's great.
Why deodorant? What was the thinking behind that?
Um, so a bit about me. I have quite severe anxiety. Now, my character, when I'm performing, that's quite obvious, which I think is great. So I like to. So part of my act is I run on like panting, and I just turn around and I put the deodorant on. Obviously, it's not a real deodorant, which then is like it's like a last resort. So I use it for magician in trouble plot. So I get them to. I'll hold onto the ring and I put my hand behind my back. I'm able to instantly load it. I then say panics. Oh, where's it gone? And I then say like, do you want this? Do you want that? And eventually I say, no, you can't have my phone or my wallet. You can have my deodorant. It's like a really fun little unexpected moment. The fact that it's all ended inside your deodorant. It's gross because there is real deodorant in there. But it's really fun. I love it. It's great.
No doubt. I'm sure it's very, very good. But that's a really, really great choice. The idea of just the deodorant is one that we've not had before. We've not had
Exactly,
anyone
yeah.
say deodorant, so that's nice and different. But yeah, that's a great list. We've gone from Evaporate, John Morton's Billet Peak, The Great Escape, Extractor E2, Equalizer, Sticks, Imagine, Trojan Deck. We've got Expert at the Card Table as your book, and your item is a deodorant. What a great list, Henry.
Thank you. Yeah, it was tough to decide on.
Yeah, it's great, and what a great list. If people want to find out more about you, though, Henry, where can they go?
So, I have an Instagram account called, let me see, I'm terrible with memory work, so I haven't learnt new moniker yet. It's H Ferris underscore creations, which I have, that's my magic account and it's set to private. So if you follow me, I will check out your account or something, and I will find out if you're a magician. I'll let you follow me. If you're not following me because I keep this strictly for magicians. Because I'm essentially I've got a bunch of posts to start lining up, and it's just going to be me performing and talking about really cool ideas. So I've done quite a lot of like free tutorials on my story, which are really cool. Sort of either new presentations. So my recent one was I did a really cool new presentation for Inferno by Joshua J, which I think takes it up a whole new level. Yeah, so if you want to follow me, it's hferris_creations, or add me on Facebook and stuff. Yeah, it's great. So I keep my Instagram for if anyone needs custom magic. So that's what I do. I do custom magic and consulting. So yeah, I get loads of orders to make custom effects. It's fun. Yeah, hferris_creations.
And what about conventions?
Oh, conventions. So my recent one was London Magic Convention. I was out there with Ferris Creations Co, which is it's my magic company. Um, where we do consulting custom effects. We do, yeah, essentially what I've said. So I recently did London Magic Convention, it was really fun. I sold out of almost everything. I did a pre-release of effect called Cornered, and I sold out incredibly quickly, which it went really well actually for a one-day convention. Selling out that many it was great. I brought a few Evaporates, sold out of them. Yeah, it was great. I feel like I aimed that convention to be more of sort of meeting people, talking to people, connecting. It was really great and it was helpful as well.
And are you attending any this year?
So not with a stand, well, per se. So I'm going to the session as a fun little thing, like as a magician to jam. So I'll be at the session, come jam with me, come join me. Or at Blackpool, which I'm going there, I'm going to be working with James Keatley on his Jack Magic stand, where I'm going to be demoing there with a convention, which should be fantastic. Yeah, there's some fantastic stuff in the way. Well, coming soon that I can't wait for. But yeah, I'll be at most conventions. I usually am. Blackpool and the session, I'll be there. Feel free to come and talk to me, jam. I'm easy.
And no doubt everyone will get to meet your biggest fan, which is your mother.
Yeah. Love my mum. My mum was great. As she should be. She's my mum. Oh, actually, fun story about Evaporate. I never wanted to release that. I wanted to keep that to myself. But my mum physically pushed me towards the Alakazam stand to talk to Pete and Harry. I managed to make a deal with the convention, and my mum did loads of bargaining for me because I'm utterly useless. I will just accept the first offer. But no, and I sold it all over to Alakazam, and it was one of the best days ever that day. It was fantastic. Oh, I've just thought we haven't talked about who's there. We never talked about who's on the island with me.
Normally we don't have that, but for you we can make an exception.
I have to add this. I'm having my dog. End of. It's my dog. Like, it's completely useless, and we think he's got ADHD, but he's there with me.
So you're going to be like the non-dragon Piff.
Pretty much, but my dog wouldn't be part of the magic. He'd just be there.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Henry. And hopefully we'll see you and some of your creations again soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And if you didn't know, we do have a Monday edition called Stranded with a Stranger where you get to send in your list to us. So if you want your list read out, please send it into sales@alakazam.co.uk. Please include a little bio about you, your 8 tricks, what those tricks are, and obviously where you like them, 1 book and 1 non-magic item that you use for magic. So we'll be back next week with a Stranded with a Stranger and of course with a Desert Island Tricks. But for now, have a great week. Bye-bye.
Hello guys, I'm here to talk to you about Alakazam Unlimited. This is the best streaming platform in the world, I'm telling you now. With Alakazam Unlimited, you get access to over 150 magic routines. This is video performances and explanations. We have card magic, coin magic, kids magic, rope magic, mentalism, stage, parlor, impromptu. We've got you covered. All of this for the low price of just £4.99 a month, and you can cancel at any time. Perfect if you've got commitment issues. Yes, I'm talking to you. Guys, you are going to absolutely love it. If you haven't joined the platform already, what the heck are you doing? Alakazam Unlimited is a streaming platform that you need to be a part of. Not only that, there is also exclusive content only available on the platform. Check it out now, alakazam.co.uk. Cheers.